Welcome to Sports Save My Life. My name is Clayton Freck, and I'm the CEO and founder of Angel City Sports. We know the power of sport to change and, in some cases, save lives. We hear these compelling stories every day, and we created this show to share them with the world. Enjoy the show, and remember to like, follow, share, and comment. All right. So today it's my honor to welcome Jazmin, or Jazz as she's known, Ryan, to the show. A military brat, Jazmin was born in Tokyo, Japan, and grew up in Houston, Texas. At the age of 18, she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And then at 22, she was re-diagnosed with progressive spastic myelopathy. I hope I got that right, Jazz.
Got it. Yeah.
Which at first limited her lower limb functionality and now impacts her upper limbs as well. We'll hear a lot more about that. And while her first love, I think, was basketball, she is currently on the U.S. Paralympic team for para shooting. She attended the Rio Paralympic Games, which I think was shortly after the birth of your daughter.
Yeah.
And you are almost qualified for the Tokyo Paralympics with one more event to go. We'll be watching for you. She's a highly accomplished shooter, travels internationally to matches to compete for Team USA. And earlier this year, she was in the news because her wheelchair was stolen from her front yard. We'll definitely want to hear that. And here comes my dog in the background.
Little friend back there.
And in true Texan spirit, she has a deep love for her sport because in every photo I could find of you, you are smiling ear to ear when you're holding that rifle. So welcome to the show, Jazmin.
There's Dave in the background.
I love that. Okay. I think I'm going to give you the easy one first.
Sure.
What comes to mind when you hear the title of our show, Sports Save My Life? What does it mean to you?
Oh, that's such an easy question. I actually, when I was going through a tough time in the very early stages of my disability, like many other people out there that are just starting their journeys.
Mm-hmm.
And when sports were, introduced to me, it was a whole nother world was open up for me. It allowed, me to move forward and move to the next step in my life.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would you say sport gives you or does to you, like when you're in the moment?
Oh gosh, the adrenaline alone when you're competing or participating in sports is almost like a high. It's just you're elated. And for a lot of us with disabilities who deal with pain or mental struggles or whatever, it's a complete release of all of that. And then you have an intense focus on what you're doing at the time versus focusing on all the other crazy stuff in your life.
Love that. I love that. Okay, so give me one sentence description of who you are.
Let's see. That's a tough one. Only one sentence of who I am?
I mean, you could take two if you need it.
Okay. Let me think. I'm an excited individual for sports with the love of my family. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
You didn't need two sentences. You got it. You got it.
Actually,
okay,
it should go opposite. I have an intense love of my family first, then sports.
Yes. Okay, good. I like that better. So I saw the story about the wheelchair getting stolen from your front yard before you and I got connected. So we're kind of new friends, and we're going to be, we're going to become fast friends, I think. And I think we'll be connected going forward as Angel City works to grow Paralympic sports like shooting. And so this is an excuse to get you out to sunny.
No, that's fine with me.
I know it's raining today in Houston. So tell me this crazy wheelchair story. It just happened in March, right?
Oh yeah, just recently. It was absolutely insane. I got up to go for a run. Like I say run. Anytime I say run, if we're talking about it in the show, I go pushing in my neighborhood. It's something that I really got into at the start of COVID because it was my way to actually get out of the house. Like,
And do you have a racing chair or are you pushing a?
no, it's just a basketball chair or a rugby chair, either one. I have two. So, but anyways, I would go out and for push 15, 20 miles a day, actually. And I typically, if a family member was home, I'd have them bring my wheelchair into the house, when I went, my everyday chair.
Yep.
Because you transfer into the sports chair. And then just a particular time when they weren't home, I would just leave it in the driveway, right behind my van. I live on a end of a residential cul-de-sac in a very nice neighborhood. So in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, who would typically take a wheelchair? And then I recall, I was gone. I think this was a relatively shorter run, and it was for about 45 minutes. And I came back around the corner, and then I'm at the beginning of my street looking at my driveway and was like, is something missing? Okay.
Well, we all know the feeling of we go back to the parking lot and we
Sure.
actually don't remember where our car is, but we think we remember.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not like somebody stole my car.
Yeah, that was exactly it. And it was kind of like, well,
But there was no other place your chair
no,
could.
no. And at first I was like, okay, did my husband bring it inside or what? And I came back there and nope, it is gone. It was like, okay, did my neighbor take it? Thinking it would be safe,
But your
and
neighbors know you, they know the drill. They're right.
absolutely, absolutely. So I get down there and sure enough, it's gone. Somebody had actually taken my wheelchair. And it turned out my neighbors actually got the video footage of it. But you couldn't see them actually putting it in the truck. You just saw the truck driving away with my wheelchair in the back of it, which is another insane thing. And sure enough, that went on. And then the support from the community was absolutely amazing when it came to trying to find my chair.
Yeah. So talk about that because I saw you got a ton of media coverage. I saw
Oh,
a GoFundMe page that did pretty well. Like
the
what
person the person who really helped me get everything started was actually my neighbor. Her name's Nikki,
Mm.
and she's the one who if, actually I tell you, going back, the first step that I took, I put it in our neighborhoods. I typically push in two different neighborhoods, and they're connected, just by a couple of streets. But we have one Facebook page for the neighborhood, and so me in a frustration, within minutes had it posted on the neighborhood side. I'm like, hey, I'm sure you
You're
guys.
not frustrated. You're pissed.
Exactly. I'm trying to be PG here.
So mad.
I was pretty pissed. And so I put a long thing in the neighborhood thing saying, look, if you've seen anybody or know anything, I'm just putting it out there. You may know me because you see me pushing in your neighbors if you've seen me. And then all of a sudden I got this amazing long ass people of commenting, we see you're like superwoman to our kids, and all this stuff that I didn't even know the impact
Wow.
that I was giving to the community just by being out there every day.
Right.
And so and then after that, my neighbor Nikki is the one who set up the GoFundMe page and kind of put it out there. But from the response of the original post that I made, and then all those people that I didn't even know started getting involved in contacting the local media and the Chronicle, I mean, everything. And so that's when it all started, and it became this big Houston wide, which, as you know, Houston is a huge city.
It's enormous.
And I was top story of like 3 different news stations.
And did you get the chair back ever?
Yes, actually I did. In fact, it's right here. But it was, yeah.
How did that happen?
No, the cops found the truck, like they recognized the truck at a gas station they recognized it from the video, and they approached the individual and was like,
And he admitted?
yes. Okay, and get this, he said he thought it was garbage, so yeah, well, in a way, it was an individual, that gentleman that made his living collecting scrap.
Okay.
Scrap metal, and it was around garbage day. It was the day before, actually, and though it was parked behind my van, but it was kind of not close to the curb, but at the end there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was one of those where it was a hard pressed story to believe, but you couldn't discount it. So I ended up I got the chair back. I dropped,
You dropped the charges.
basically. So,
I mean, he didn't have to admit that he took the chair.
Of course.
So
He could have said, no, it wasn't me, because we had no license plate number. There's no way to technically prove that he was the
yeah.
individual. And so just out of benefit of the doubt, I went ahead and just left it alone. I got this chair, and then I had gotten a huge amount of support financially from the community to purchase a new chair.
Right.
So basically cash down a new chair. And so I put it out there. If anybody wanted their donations back, I'd be glad to refund them.
Right.
And everybody was like, no, go ahead and get the new chair, and basically pimp it up for shooting as much as I can. So, and then so from there, it's being built right now, my new chair. I have
Will,
my
will it be ready for Tokyo?
Probably. Oh yeah, definitely. So
you got a new shooting chair out of it.
Yeah, it's basically a new shooting chair, and then I have my old chair, but from there I'm going to donate another chair back to the community, just because it's the right thing to do. I've so much was given back to me for the chair. I should give one back out.
That's the best story ever.
It was a super cool story. It was a situation that was such a almost slap in the face, at the time. And then now it turned out to be like this awesome thing that happened to me.
Right. It's incredible.
But plus, if you think about it, it got a lot of exposure for Paralympic sport in general because it was in the news. So anytime we get what we do out there, it's
yeah. And you weren't in the news for stealing somebody else's chair or something. You were in the news as the victim of random neighborhood theft. So
right.
Yeah, no, I mean they say in Hollywood, right? Any PR is good PR.
Oh, absolutely. As long as it doesn't have me in handcuffs, I'm good with it.
Okay, so walk me through your childhood.
Sure.
You were born in Japan. Your parents were in the Air Force.
That's right. Yep.
But like, how long were you there? And then when did you move to the States? And then,
what
was childhood like for you?
Well, I was there for a very short period of time. I was about 2 when we came back to the United States. Let's see, my mother and father divorced, and so my mother and I moved back to Houston.
Okay.
And then so I was raised by a single mother, my mother Brenda, and I basically lived a happy childhood.
Were you a sporty kid?
Absolutely not, actually. At some points, I played sports, but I was very overweight as a child. Moving forward, probably more into my high school years. But I was more of really what I was into. I was a band nerd.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I played multiple instruments. I played trumpet. I dabbled around with French horn a little bit, but I was a musician all the way from 6th grade all the way exiting high school, hardcore. Yeah. So I did band, jazz band, symphony orchestra, and marching band. So I did all of that.
Okay, so if that's all I saw on your resume, I would think you were probably a pretty good kid and stayed out of trouble. But is that true?
I stayed out of trouble in like the community. When it came to family, no. I had the typical mother-daughter conflict, but
so share a story from your childhood that exemplifies that conflict, the mother-daughter conflict.
One. Okay, I have many.
I love childhood stories. They give me so much joy.
Okay, let's see. Mother-daughter conflict.
Or just a crazy story from your childhood.
Okay, I'll have a crazy story one time. Okay, so it was a Sunday, and I had gotten, I believe it was Christmas money. It was Christmas or birthday money. I gotten some really cool, a good chunk of change. And I went to, do you remember when Doc Martens were really big? Yeah, okay. So everybody had to have Doc Martens, and I came from, my mother already always taught me, let's keep it on the frugal side. Let's not spend a whole bunch of money on something like boots. And so I was like, okay, well, I got my own money now. So
And how old are you?
I was 16. I had just started driving. In fact, this story is a driving sport. So I decided to skip church that shows I'm a good kid. I went to church regularly.
Well,
So I
not when you skip church.
true. But so I skipped church one day to go buy these Doc Martens. Okay.
Wait, hold on. How does your mom not know you're skipping church?
Oh, well, I went mostly on my own. My mom knew I went to church, but usually she was working. So I would go. Yeah, she was always working to support us. So she happened to be working that day, and I skipped church, went and bought these Doc Martens, and so I go to the convenience store, and because these Doc Martens were so big and clunky, I wasn't used to them. I accidentally tapped on the accelerator when I was parking and smashed into an ice machine at the convenience store.
Oh no! Like the way they put them on the
side
sidewalk or in front of the store.
Yeah. So I, and all crying and everything like that, just went on this long story on how the accelerator stuck instead of me accidentally doing it myself. So I was sitting over there going, oh no, the car drove itself into this ice machine. Wait, the accelerator just would not let up. And so
did it teach you a lesson to not wear new shoes out of the store
or skip church?
Good point. I forgot about church already.
God was trying to tell me, you know what, probably you shouldn't have left Sunday school that day. So I think I actually went to church and then just skipped Sunday school. So
I got it. So tell me a little bit about your mom. I just have a feeling that there's more there. What did she do for a living? And you mentioned that she worked.
Oh yes,
nonstop. Like, just give your mom, paint a picture of your mom.
My mom actually, she raised me as a single mother. Okay.
And did you have siblings?
I had two stepbrothers for a while, and so, but she worked nonstop. She was in motivated sales, like retail sales. She worked for a retail company that sold hair care products.
Okay.
But basically that's what, she worked nonstop to, make a living for us. I was very comfortable as a child, always involved in everything. And I was never left out of anything. I always had everything I needed. And she made sure of that, and it was not easy for her at all, by any means. So she basically had nothing, and everything she did, went to me to make sure that I was well set and had the best opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, you're a parent now, and parenting is hard with two parents.
Oh, absolutely. Two parents, and we have an entire army, not just, me and my husband. We have, my mother actually does live with us at the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, she does live here. But
so you resolved your teenage angst conflicts with your mother.
Yes, absolutely. We have our little tisses every night. Yeah, no hesitant there. I'm like, are you listening up there, Mom? No. But no, we have our little spats once in a while, as any, child. It doesn't matter how old you get. But yeah, she's my best friend, aside from my, husband, obviously. But yeah, I mean, we spend a lot of time together.
I'd like to take a quick break to show you how you can get involved as a volunteer with Angel City Sports.
Are you interested in supporting Angel City Sports? We're seeking volunteers to help organize clinics and events, as well as support our athlete outreach efforts, marketing and media, and even fundraising and development. All skill sets and backgrounds are welcome in support of our mission to provide free adaptive sport opportunities for children, adults, and veterans with physical disabilities or visual impairments. For our younger athletes, we welcome you to join the Angel City Youth Leadership Council. Middle and high school age students are eligible to join the Youth Leadership Council, where you will learn about the disabled community by working side by side with our athletes and acquire important skills such as teamwork, leadership, philanthropy, and event management. To sign up for our volunteer newsletter and stay up to date on all upcoming opportunities, visit angelcitysports.org.
That's fantastic. So you're 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us about the disability. How does it come about? How do you even know?
Oh gosh, it was such a long, hard battle with it. Originally, actually, all of my health issues stemmed from one pivotal moment. I actually, I was a senior in high school, and I was bitten by a brown recluse spider. Okay, so this is a whole long.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, it was. It bit me on the hip, and at the time, huh?
Did you see the spider?
No, we didn't. It was something that, they told me later after the fact. The thing with brown recluses is that that's how it happens a lot of times, that it bites you. You don't even feel the bite, but the impact it has on your skin is just huge.
But you didn't see the spider, but you felt it.
No, I didn't feel it either. Like a lot of times you don't even feel it. You don't realize.
Do you even know where you were when it bit you?
No, not at all.
It's just a total mysterious thing.
Exactly. It's a mysterious thing on how it happened. I didn't even realize I was bitten until doctors told me later that most likely what issues. But anyways, what happened is that technically with brown recluse spiders, it just necrotizes the skin around the bite. Okay. And then what happened with me is because I was overweight at the time, it necrotized in, okay, instead of out. So it went in, and all you saw was like this little red spot, okay? But when they went to open it up because it got infected, it looked like a bomb had gone off into my side of my body. Like it just all the way to almost to the bone.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the surgeons, they said, went from like the fingertips all the way to the forearm, in and down into my leg, like hip and down into my leg, just scraping out all the yuck.
And it basically it kills the tissue.
It does. It completely takes over like a bomb.
Wow.
So I went through all of that, about a year of cleaning it and therapy and all of that.
So are you a senior in high school, or have you just graduated?
No, I was a senior in high school. I missed almost my entire second half of my year.
But you still graduated?
I still graduated, yes.
Wow.
So
but you're in and out of the hospital. You're not, are you in pain?
Yes, very much pain. So it was one of those things that it's not something I wish on anybody by any means.
And what do you think is like, what's going through your mind at this time?
It's okay. What do I do? Essentially my whole second half of my senior year is gone. I had very few friends throughout that, because how teenagers are. It's out of sight, out of mind a lot of times, and so it was kind of like you almost don't know who you are at that point. That's a huge point in your life where you're trying to establish yourself, I should say, in your personality. And and
it's so, at least what I remember, that second half of senior year is so full of fun and joy.
Exactly. And so I had missed out on a whole lot of that. And so time in there, it's like, okay, what do I do? Am I going to college full time, or am I working? What is that? And so, that's about it, but what happened from that is that it kind of set off my journey down into the medical field. And it just kind of almost like set a spark out of my body just attacking itself. It's pretty much is how they described it. After that, shortly after all of that was healed, I started having the neurological symptoms of my disability. Like I started losing some balance, and then let's see, balance, motor function in my legs, fatigue, all of that. And so at the end, getting to where I'm at now, they think it was something that set off like an immune response. Like all this toxin came in, and it basically just, your body has an autoimmune response trying to, get rid of everything. And it wound up attacking myself, and then instead of attacking, the problem. So does that make any sense at all? I know it's kind of.
It's incredible. It's such a powerful story. So they first diagnose, they think you have MS.
Mm-hmm.
And because what you said kind of sounds like it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it doesn't feel like a terrible diagnosis at the time. It's probably
no, actually not at all.
But how do they realize that that's not it at some point? What data points are they getting that changes the diagnosis? Because that's really interesting, and I don't hear many of these stories where you're diagnosed here and then you flip to this whole other category.
Well, believe it or not, there's more people out there like me than you realize. But anyways, it was one of those where at the time of the diagnosis of MS, it was basically a diagnosis of exclusion. I had a very mild case. It was very early stage.
Yeah, you're ambulatory.
Again, I was only 18. And that's still young for somebody. Usually, people with MS aren't diagnosed to just, a little bit later than that. So they were thinking.
What's the typical? Is it 30s and 40s?
I would say mid-20s, moving on. More. Or I would guess you would see it early 30s, but you could see it as soon as mid-20s. Okay. I saw an 18-year-old once with it before. I met an 18-year-old.
But it happens, but it's still kind of rare at that age.
Yeah, that it's that young. And so, but I had some of the hallmark symptoms. I had some, the balance, the fatigue. I was kind of losing motor function a little bit. But the biggest one is that I had my visual evoked potentials when they were testing my eyes. It showed a potential lesion on the optic chiasm, which that is could be a hallmark thing of MS. So that's where they got the diagnosis from.
Okay.
So they got that, and then it was just after watching it with time and the pattern that it did with progression, they just felt that it did not fall into that category anymore.
Okay. So you got re-diagnosed 4 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And now that diagnosis has not changed for quite some time.
No.
It's pretty confident in that diagnosis. As it's progressed, so when do you end up transitioning to using a wheelchair?
22 years old.
Okay.
22.
So it moved pretty quick in those first few years.
It did. It was actually pretty flat for a while. I was having, just a little bit. And then I had a really quick dip. Okay. And it was really no specific thing that brought it forward. They thought, I had what they consider a relapse with MS, where I got sick all of a sudden, which happens a lot of times with MS. You have a relapsing remitting type pattern was what I had. And so I had a relapse, an episode as what we called it. But I had an episode, and then it kicked me down, and then it just kind of, dropped me back slower and slower. So once I hit I got into the chair, it did not take long for it to get, start ascending up, further and further. So
did you feel like you had accepted where life had taken you at the age of 22, 23? You had kind of figured things out. It hadn't really progressed. You said it was sort of plateauing for a while there. Were you in a pretty good place of just kind of figuring it out, and then it just drops?
Yeah, that's basically kind of what happened. It was, and this is another crazy story, is that starting out my career, I was going to nursing. That was what I had planned on doing, was healthcare anyway.
Yeah.
And so, but what was crazy is that I wound up working at the same rehab that I did all my rehab before I was in a chair. So I became an employee at, it's called TIR, the Institute for Rehabilitation and Research. I was still a student in school, I was, so I was doing like nursing tech work. And for this huge rehab, they knew I had MS at the time, was the diagnosis. And they knew I had MS. That's kind of what brought me into the rehab field, why I wanted to pursue the rehab field. And then I all of a sudden became a patient where I worked in the same facility I worked at, on the same floor I worked on, and so, yeah, my coworkers became my caregivers. So
That's so weird.
yeah, it's a crazy, crazy thing. A little cosmic coincidence up there. I'm like, sorry, God, for running into the ice machine.
I'm sure yeah, right. I'm sure you got really good care from your
I did.
colleagues.
Yeah, I did. I got great care. But the hard part is that it does a crazy thing when you're put into that kind of situation. For one, because I was there professionally, my coworkers, they expect you to, okay, well, all of this already. They don't really expect you to go through the whole grieving process of disability and all that kind of stuff, just because, they're like, well, all of this, what's going to happen and what's going to do and what you need to do and all that. And so it's just a very strange dynamic, I should say.
Yeah.
So it's hard to explain, but and it does kind of mess with somebody psychologically. I had a lot of psychological problems stemming from that,
So let's talk about that, because
Sure.
one of the reasons why we created Angel City Sports is to instill self-confidence in
Sure.
our athletes.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I see really different trajectories. So kids often just sort of figure life out and kind of motor on whatever they have to do. It doesn't mean they don't have self-confidence issues, but they have a little different just
Absolutely.
in
Yeah.
how they move through the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Adults that acquire disabilities and get knocked down, that had their full physical abilities and then they have less of them at some point, seem to really struggle in this area. So can you talk to me about your sort of journey in self-confidence? So pre-disability, pre-spider bite, pre-MS diagnosis, where was your confidence level? What did that do to your confidence level? And then what happened to the confidence level after, at 22, you get a new diagnosis, you're now in a chair. Your life keeps changing.
Sure. Yeah, it definitely was. It's like, I had the whole spider bite thing, and then I picked myself back up from that. And so I was pretty confident with the path that I was going on. Even with, the whole MS thing, I was still managing it. I was still moving
But you
forward.
didn't let it drag you down.
No, because I was still had full faculties. I had some little things I had to do, some meds I had to take and all that, and I was handling that. I was going to school, career wise was going fine.
Yeah.
And then and I felt I was in the right path with my life, career wise and education wise. And then it did, when I got hit getting in the chair, it was like a brick wall, because it just, okay, I'm now stuck in a wheelchair in the same place I work in, where I have to see it every day and reminded every day that, hey, I'm not being able to do what I normally do. In fact, I'm on the other end of what I used to do. And then with my own coworkers now taking care of me. So it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I had no idea what to do with my life after that. In fact, kind of what led me into sports, and this kind of is part of my story when I tell people it, is that it hit me psychologically, and I did not know how to move on. Because if you think about it, you are everybody wants to get the heck up out of rehab. Okay. And they're like, okay, get out of rehab. I hate rehab. I hate the hospital. Let's just move on with whatever. Where I was the complete opposite. I never wanted to leave, because that was my comfort zone. That's where all my friends were, that's
Mm.
where my job was. And then I, get to be there every day if I'm still in rehab.
That's really really interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard that kind of perspective. So describe to me, is this a bottoming out of your psychological well-being,
Yeah.
and what was going through your mind at the time?
Well, it's kind of hard with me as a person at that time. I almost did not know how to interpret my emotions at that time because I was so used to putting
Mm.
on such a brave face, and that's kind of what I knew. And I felt I had to be the poster child of disability because that's what my job was. And so I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go. Let's move on with my life. Let's do this. Let's do that. And in reality, I was in a mess and did not know what to do. But I didn't even realize that until later, looking back. That I just was kind of putting on that shell for
Mm.
the rest of the world and not really accepting how I truly was feeling. So, but yeah, it was very tough and kind of again, what led me to sports is that I had fallen in love, like during rehab. Okay, I was overweight when I first got in the chair. I was very overweight. But the whole part of rehab, you're in the gym, you're working out, you make certain goals, you get that accomplishment and everything. I actually fell in love with that. Okay.
You fell in love with the gym.
Yeah, I fell in love with the gym while
I
I was,
hate the gym, so
yeah,
kudos to you.
yeah, I fell in love with the gym. I fell in love with the physical side of things.
Mm.
And so, in a way, that brought out a different side of me.
Mm.
And then that's what kind of led me into the sports side of things, as something new to do, just to be able to continue that. And that's kind of how it brought me out of my shell, moving on with my life.
So how did you find sports, adaptive sports?
Well, I had seen it on TV, and
Really?
again while I was in rehab. Well, in rehab, for at Tier, we had a great rec therapy department, and
So
so
they told you about it, and
they
then
told you about it. And then I also, again, like I said, I worked in the field too, so
you
that
kind of knew.
I knew about wheelchair basketball. Is kind of where my interest came out, and so I just said, "Hey, I'm going to try it." And we have a gym here, ran through Houston Parks and Recreation that does all of the adaptive sports, and I went and just started doing everything,
So you kind of knew about it. The rec therapists help you make that transition. Describe to me the first day you showed up for wheelchair basketball.
Oh, I just showed up. It was funny because it was all guys, and I just show up and they're all playing basketball. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to play with you guys. And they just kind of looked at me like, okay, sure.
Says the woman who hasn't played before.
Hasn't played, I don't think I had even gotten into a sports chair before before that. And so, and this was, all men, mostly Hispanic, all speaking Spanish. Fortunately, I spoke Spanish, so that helped. I speak Spanish.
Oh, you
And
do?
pretty well. It's a little not quite as good as it used to be, but at the time it was very good. And so I just hopped into a sports chair. The manager at the facility got it, had some loaners for people who wanted to try it. And I kept coming, I started playing full time. Actually, I played for the team in Houston. I also wound up playing for a women's team out of Dallas. And
With Darlene.
with Darlene, yeah, she was one of my teammates. Pam Fontaine was our coach at the time. Yeah. So
Cool.
me and Dee.
You almost become addicted to sport. You're all in
Oh,
sport.
absolutely. Yeah, I got in and I actually was playing everything. I played a different sport every night of the week for a while. It was just, I played basketball, tennis, rugby, you name it. I tried soccer, I did wheelchair
Power
soccer.
soccer.
Not power. We actually, it almost looks like team handball. And it's bigger down here in the South. But yeah, it was it was crazy. I just started doing anything and everything I can get my hands on.
And how, especially those early days, how did it make you feel to be on the court, playing tennis, playing basketball, doing all these?
It was amazing. It was like, okay, I finally found my next step that I'm going to do with my life, again, like
Especially for the band girl.
yeah, I mean, again, it's like I had all the adrenaline and just that sense of accomplishment, all the everything that I found while I was in the rehab process. I had felt the same thing playing sports, and it was away from the hospital, and that was the whole goal, was to get me moving on from the hospital. And so it's like I found a replacement for those same feelings that I got there.
What's interesting about your story, Jazz, is I see a lot of stories where people find adaptive or Paralympic sport so randomly, and it drives me crazy because it's a lack of awareness. People don't know these sports exist, and so there's usually, I call them the dark years,
Absolutely,
where people don't feel like they can live a full active life, and
it's way later in their disabilities too that you see.
Totally. But in your case,
it was from the very beginning. Yeah.
You're already kind of in it. You're planning to work in it. You are working in it. You're getting your education. So it's kind of interesting. Obviously, you didn't know it maybe before you got the MS diagnosis and kind of went down that path. But it's I know you struggled. I'm not like,
of course,
your struggle, but it feels to me like you moved through the struggle relatively
quickly. Yes. And I completely agree with you on that one. And I am with you on that one as far as the lack of awareness, because I get on all these forums, like Spinal Cord Injury USA, a couple others. And then you see all these posts of people just, in such a terrible, I've been in the chair for 12, 13 years.
You're talking about like Facebook, all these Facebook groups and stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know I'm in a lot of these groups. I don't have a spinal cord injury, but I will try to join them just so I can see what's going on in the community. And I feel the same way. Even the amputee groups, which amputees look like a paper cut compared to a spinal cord injury.
Yeah, it is.
Can't get out of it. They're stuck.
Yeah, I try to throw posts out there too, like, or answer questions about, okay, adaptive recreation, anything about pain control, because I deal with chronic pain, like severe chronic pain. Do what you can physically, get out there physically, get into sports, get into, whatever passion you find, not even if it's not sports, some sort of, drive, something that sparks your, happiness, you get into it. It's like,
it's amazing, right?
Yeah. Life-changing. Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. So you're head over heels for adaptive sports. You're playing all different sports. You're playing on multiple basketball teams. I love where your life is going. And at least according to what I've read about you, there's an event that leads you down the path of shooting.
Yes.
What was that moment? And how did that, and maybe that was your random moment.
It was absolutely my random moment. It could not have been any more random, actually. But again, I was hardcore wheelchair basketball, and what is so funny is that I remember going at the beginning of my sports journey and said, I'm going to be on the Paralympic team, and everybody was.
You said that right away.
Oh, right at the beginning. It's like I wanted to go to the Paralympics, because I knew about the Paralympics, and I was the type of individual that wanted to be the best at everything.
That's pretty remarkable. So when you said that, what sport were you thinking? Basketball?
We didn't know.
Oh, you didn't even know?
No, I didn't know. It was so funny.
You're just putting it out in the universe for the universe to solve for you.
I did. And it was to the adaptive sports faculty at the center I went to. They have a manager. In fact, he works with USA Rugby right now.
Okay.
Chuck French. In fact, he's connected to you. I actually asked about you too. Y'all are connected in some way. I asked, I was like, who is this person? No, but I told him, I was like, I'm going to the Paralympics, and we're like, well, what sport? We don't know, and so he actually was helping me try all kinds of different sports. Like I was trying.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah. He was helping me. Like, okay, are we going to do power?
Well, Jazz, I'm going to share a little tidbit with you. So Our flagship event is the Angel City Games presented by Hartford.
Sure.
It's a multi-sport Paralympic
Oh,
competition.
yeah, this is, yeah.
And the vision for the games is that we're at like, I mean, and we'll probably get to maybe 12 sports in
Sure.
2022, but every year we're adding a few sports, and we want to have all summer Paralympic sports
Absolutely. That's awesome.
in one event. It might be over a few weeks or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's all ages,
Mhm.
all abilities. You don't have ever had to do the sport before you go.
Awesome. Yeah, that's my story.
You would have been the perfect customer for
Yeah.
us, because you're
Yeah.
like, well, I'm going to the Paralympics. I don't have a clue what sport it is. And then you just get to go boop, 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 boop,
Yeah.
and go try all the sports.
Well, that's kind of where it happened. What happened to me is that, we do something similar, Metal and Muscle, here in Houston. It's our regular thing. We do it at the Georgia Brown Convention Center, and we have, again, multiple sports all under one roof, over a weekend period of time. We had basketball, rugby, soccer. We have different tournaments going on. Now, some of them aren't, they're teams that are
is
there.
it still going on?
Yeah, we do it every year.
I've never heard of it, so I have to check this out. I have to come to Houston.
Yeah, it's usually the first weekend of December.
Okay.
And when they do it.
Love it.
But anyways, I was there at that particular event playing wheelchair basketball for our team here in Houston. And my last game was canceled, and it was like I had nothing to do. And so I actually met the lady in the women's room, in a ladies' restroom. And okay, so we're in the restroom, and women just talk in the restroom sometimes. So we got to chatting, and she happened to be with NRA, National Rifle Association. And she goes, well, hey, I started talking about, growing up, and, I used to hunt, and, I knew how to shoot. And she was like, okay, well, why don't you try this match over here in the opposite side of the facility that I was playing basketball in. And so I was like, okay. So she happened to be running a match and clinic. It was kind of like a mix. And I went over there and entered this match, and I just blew everybody away with it. I ended up coming in first place on that one. And then from there, they invited me to, because I did so well there. And then they invited me to a novice camp up at the Olympic Training Center, for beginners that have potential. And Team USA had me ever since. They got me right there at the beginning, as just kind of stepping into the sport. And
so that is for sure your random moment.
Absolutely.
Because without that encounter in the bathroom, how are you finding it? Find it later, but that's a beautiful story. And so let's take a quick break to learn more about the equipment loaner program at Angel City Sports.
Part of our mission at Angel City Sports is to eliminate all barriers to participation in adaptive sports. Providing free adaptive sports equipment is a major component to this objective. Each individual piece of equipment can cost more than $3,000. Can you imagine if running shoes cost that much? So we're building an inventory of adaptive sports equipment to support our clinics, competitions, partner programs, and to loan out to emerging local athletes. Currently, we have racing wheelchairs, throwing chairs, and sport wheelchairs, perfect for tennis and basketball. If you or an athlete you know need a piece of adaptive sports equipment, visit the Equipment Opportunities page at angelcitysports.org. If you are interested in donating equipment or supporting the Equipment Loaner program, email us at info@angelcitysports.org.
Would you consider going to the Rio Paralympics your sort of favorite accomplishment in sport, or is there something?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there's no question.
What was that like? Pretty amazing?
Oh my gosh, it was jaw-dropping. You get there, and
by the way, I went to your venue.
Oh, did you?
Shooting was towards the end of the games, and I'd been at a million different venues and was kind of out of it and tired. It was a long run, but I did check it out, and I thought it was really interesting because we toured behind the scenes and all the locker rooms where they keep all the equipment, and it's a whole nother level of security and
Oh,
protocol
absolutely. Yes.
because you have weapons,
We
basically.
have weapons, it's like, I mean, personally, I compete mostly in air rifle, which, so that's, smaller level, but you have, 22s and shotguns, well, shotguns winner, but, just, some live ammo there, that can really cause some damage. So,
Right.
but yeah, it's definitely a different level, but just the amazing opportunity. I would say like the most touching part of the games was opening ceremonies.
Mm.
Okay.
It was,
You will or march into through that area with all those countries there, and you're holding your team flag and are, not necessarily holding it, but you're there saying, I represent my country, with all the spectators and everything. It is just
it was
a beautiful, beautiful moment.
it was an amazing night. It was
Yeah.
crazy out there.
Yeah. So
And it rained.
yes, it did.
It rained on us.
It did rain on us.
Okay, great. Talk to me. I read something about your shooting table.
Oh, yeah.
You decorate your shooting table? Is that what I
Yeah,
read?
yeah. I did in the past. I used to have pictures of my family all over it. I put pictures of my daughter and my husband, and key phrases that stick with me. It's just I think one of them, my favorite key phrase on there is "You're an overcomer." Mandisa sings that song "Overcomer." So I would put that on there, because the thing about shooting is all about mental relaxation and all that kind of stuff. And so I'd have all those images on my table. So, I'm in between shots and I've got that amped up feeling, and shooting is different from a lot of sports. You got to bring it all down. It's not a performance enhancer like high impact sports. So you got to bring all the adrenaline down, and I'd be able to look down and see, the favorite people in my life and everything. So it helped, but yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Most sports, you don't have a place that you can decorate, so I think that's really cute.
Yeah, I did. I'm one of those that likes to express themselves in as many areas as I can.
I mean, people put things on their wheelchairs and stuff. As my son's got some stuff on his, prosthetic leg, so you give a little bit of a place of.
Yeah, but not a whole lot. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been training for Tokyo, I'm assuming since Rio.
Right.
We get the news last year that the games are postponed by a year. What does that do to you mentally?
It was a tough blow mentally. First off, I was very thankful has not been canceled. That was the biggest.
Me too. Yeah.
That was the biggest fear, was that, are they going to cancel the game? So, and a postponement was actually somewhat of a relief, as far as alleviating our fears at the time that the games were not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, that part was, grateful, but it does mentally become a challenge, because you spend all this time training, and then you get to your peak, where you're at your peak performance, and then we got to say, okay, put it on pause, and you're like, what? So it's like, okay.
But
yeah.
Have you had trouble even training in the meantime?
Actually, no, because I shoot air rifle, I can train inside my home, because I'm not shooting the live high power stuff, but I train from my living room, which I'm sitting in, through my kitchen into my dining room. So that's my shooting range.
Like in a normal.
I'm in a regular home. Yeah.
But in a normal year, non-COVID year, that's where you typically would train.
Yeah. Well, since I moved down to here to Houston for part of it, yes. So other parts of
this is like the hidden benefit of your sport, which is you don't have to go anywhere to train. You can just shoot in your house.
If you wanted to, if you shot air rifle and you had the space, you could shoot in your house.
How long of a hallway do you need?
You need 33 feet, at least 10 meters.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so you have a target?
Yes, it's actually, I shoot on an electronic target. So, and it's the same, I have the exact same system that we use in IPC, International Paralympic Shooting. But it's the same exact system. It's made by Seuss, and it's electronic target. So it's a box with just a single target in it, and you just shoot into it over and over and over again. And you have an electronic little box that tells you exactly where you hit. So I just shoot down my kitchen through my kitchen.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about Tokyo, what it means to you to go to Tokyo, and
Well,
what
yeah.
are your goals in sport?
Well, for one, going to Tokyo would be just absolutely amazing experience. One, because as you've read, I was born there. So to be able to go there and
But
represent.
have you been back ever since?
No, I have not. Yeah.
So that's special.
Yeah, so it's very special for one to be able to go represent your country in the same country you were born in. You know, that's a cool experience. But my goal for one is to go there and do the very best I can. I would definitely like to bring home a medal this time. And Rio, I didn't do quite as well as I had wanted to. So be able to return and do better than I did before would be amazing.
And you mentioned earlier you feel like your chances are very good for making the team. You have one more
Yeah. Oh yeah.
but you're feeling confident going into that.
Yeah, I'm confident in going in that. Not saying it's going to happen by any means for sure, but I'm definitely at that caliber. I'm at the caliber where I can shoot alongside the best in the world. I know that for a fact.
Great.
So that's my goal to get there, and then once I get there, do the best I can, and then hopefully the outcome takes care of itself and I bring home some hardware. So that's what I'd like.
Let's do it. What about those longer term goals? Do you think you're in for another quad?
I'm hoping so. I was kind of at a questionable spot. I was like, okay, is this my last time? Just for one, I've been doing this for 11 years now. So, but definitely, I think I am going to stick it out at least for one more quad. I definitely would like to get there. I would like to get into more coaching opportunities.
Okay.
I do some coaching now, or I should say pre-COVID. Running a small program here in Houston. So I'm hoping to expand that some and, just get some more awareness out for the sport. But yeah, I definitely want to get out there as much as I can, just showing everybody what we're all about.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're shifting into really the final main segment of the show, which is I call it the soul searching part of the show. And before I go into my traditional questions, I want to hear what does your daughter mean to you, and how much has what's parenting given you?
Oh my gosh, parenting is there's a whole bigger dynamic that you can get into when it comes to parenting. For one, my daughter means absolutely everything. When you say, okay, I'm going to be a parent, you're going to love your child, obviously, but when that individual comes out of you, if you're a female, you have no idea how much you can truly love a human being. It's just an absolutely an amazing type of love, to have somebody that is going to love you unconditionally no matter what, at least starting out anyway.
Don't say that. My kids are still young.
For most parents. So
stressing me out on that.
But it is the time that I do get to spend with my daughter is just magical. And I mean, even now she's upstairs and we have our Friday night slumber parties and just all kinds of different things. And so my daughter will absolutely be the first thing in my life no matter what, and it's just being able to be with her every day is just amazing. So but yeah, it changed my life, and it was one of those, what was so cool about the year going into the games was that I got to, I trained up to 2 weeks before she was born, came back 2 weeks later because I got pregnant at the final year before the games, which my coach was like, yay, you're pregnant, but are you kidding? This is the wrong time to get pregnant. But so I trained up to there. And then, of course, during that time, I could not travel. And then I had her. and then came back 2 weeks later, 2 months later, qualified for Paralympics, and then 2 months after that got to go to the games. So that whole year in itself was an amazing thing. And then so I got her, I got the games, I got all of that all in the same year. So that's pretty darn cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
doesn't
I
get
mean,
much better than
yeah,
that.
it doesn't. That I would say that is
That's
the
a really,
highlight moment in my life, and probably
and you get an award for juggling competing priorities.
yeah. Well, that's another part of
Most coaches would be like, "What are you doing?
Yeah.
Your timing is all wrong."
Well, what was crazy is that we had been trying for our daughter for about 9 years at that point, and we up and move our entire lives from Houston to we figured, okay, I'm going to take the next step in my training, and so we uproot our whole lives and move to Colorado Springs so that I can do that. And then she decides to tell us that she's coming along the first week we're there. So
What do they say? Best laid plans.
yeah. I never thought I would call my mom crying to tell her I was pregnant. Like, what do I do?
Oh my gosh.
But
Okay.
anyway, getting back to it, being a parent is just absolutely, just such a gift from God. You can't get
If
into
I
that.
know anybody that's making a commercial for parenting, I'm going to call you.
Okay.
You are a legit star when it comes to advocating for parenting. So,
Good.
okay, I'm going to rush through a few really fun, zippy questions for you.
Okay.
Interesting fact that I don't know about you.
Interesting fact. Okay. I can do spinning wheelies on the dance floor anytime that you want. In my chair.
You're a dancer. I love it.
I can go to town with in my wheelchair like nobody's business. So if you get
that probably harks back to the basketball days where you
absolutely, yeah,
very adept in the chair.
You get some music going and I'll go crazy.
And you go. I love it. What has your disability taught you?
Let's see. My disability has taught me that there's a whole new side of things. There's a whole different side of your life that you never knew was there a lot of times. Definitely don't be afraid to try, new things, and not to, let's see, trying to explain it. What I'm trying to think is, don't be afraid to go a different path if you're not on the path that you expect that you're going to be on. Don't be afraid to try a different way, because you can definitely find bigger and brighter things than you expected in your original path. So
that's so beautiful. I often say to people that acquire a disability, I say, welcome to this amazing community.
Absolutely.
And I don't say it in a flip way.
No.
I say it in a genuine way because I do feel, now I don't have a disability. I'm just close to it. I have, my son's has a disability, but I just feel like I've learned so much and grown so much by being connected to it. And I really think it's amazing. It's an amazing community.
Absolutely.
That you didn't know existed before.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you, is that especially if you're out there in the community, that it's just like especially in Houston, our adaptive sports disability community is huge. And I always joke that 99% of my friends have disabilities. I mean, and we always joke around like my best friend is able-bodied, and we're like, we call her our token able-bodied to help load our chairs. But it's just, we're such a tight-knit community, and if you're with the people in that community, a lot of people think that their disability is part of who they are, and that's kind of what that community teaches you, is that it can be a part of who you are, and you can accept it, and just be with some amazing people if you have one. So
yes, I love that. Okay, what's your passion?
Gosh, my passion is life.
That's a great answer. That's the best answer anyone's given me, by the way. What's your purpose?
My purpose is showcasing that life. Just teaching people that, or my purpose, say that I was put down here for, is definitely hoping to help people see the light, see that there's things out there for them, and any way that I can help, portray that to other people, that's kind of what, I want to be here for.
Beautiful. Well, you definitely have to come out to the games because
I would love to.
you're one of us. You're aligned with our philosophy.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to you. What is any parting wisdom, any life philosophy, anybody you didn't thank along the way, appreciate, whatever, this is your moment. What do you?
Well, one thing, again, like you said, I have to thank my awesome mom, just for instilling such a good work ethic, I should say, of hardcore, stay focused, don't let anything keep you down. So I got to thank her for that. Just instilling such a good foundation for that. And then just my wisdom, I just always, and it's don't be afraid to try new things, because you never know, and it's one of those that I look at my life and say, when people say I'm so sorry about your disability, and I have to think, well, I'm not, because look at, I get to do some amazing things and travel the world and do all of this. And it's not something I definitely would have ever done prior to my disability. So it has opened a tremendous amount of doors for me. And so it's just one of those that I tell people is don't be afraid to accept your disability, and just do everything you can with it. So
That's beautiful. Well, Jazmin, thank you so much for your time today. It's
inviting me.
Such a pleasure to get to know you and learn about your story and your philosophy and all your accomplishments. And it sounds like you're an incredible mom. You're an elite athlete, and I love your keeping your sights set on not just getting through. Oh, there's my dog. You're not just getting through Tokyo, but planning on Paris as well in 2024. So this is so cool. We're just honored to be connected and know you, and I can't wait to get you out to the Angel City Games presented by the Hartford and help us grow your sport.
I would love to. Yeah, absolutely love to. And I thank you for inviting me. And I love doing stuff like this. And hopefully I wasn't too long-winded or jumbly.
You're awesome. What a wonderful and heartfelt story and episode about Jazmin Ryan. It makes me want to learn more about parachuting. And our next episode features Jake Schramm, a weightlifter from the Keystone State who recently made the team heading to Tokyo.